Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the JACKOCAR Kia Series. It's time for round 8 at the Austrian Grand Prix. It's going to be a really exciting, tense round. This is the crucial round. It's the last round before the playoffs begin. So, a big night for some of these drivers as they try to get into those all-important playoff spots. My name is Jake, and I'm joined, as always, by Austin. How are you doing?
I'm doing very, very well. I'm very excited for this one. And I mean, if we just look at the standings, this is already very, very exciting. We still have 3 spots available for 3 drivers in the playoffs. But for everyone outside, for everyone who won't make it tonight, we still have the chase. And one driver from the chase will advance as well. So there's a lot going on here and I'm very, very excited for it.
Absolutely, it should be a really dramatic evenings of racing, and of course, this is the track in Spielberg. It's usually a fantastic track to go racing on. It's great for overtaking, and usually you do get plenty of drama around this track. Just the 10 turns, 3 to the left and 7 to the right, and it's very much a short track, but yeah, as I said, it's usually one that brings a lot of drama with it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it is so short and you have so few corners and so many straights and long straights, rather long straights in between that you have a lot of overtaking opportunities. I mean, turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, all of them are very good overtaking spots. I mean, they all have DRS zones right in front of them. And so you can really go back and forth and back, actually. So you can go 3 times over the course of a single lap and maybe even 4. I mean, if you look at the run from turn 3, or well, really turn 4, but you know, we don't count turn 2 because it's not a proper corner. So the third, the downhill right-hander, the Hamilton Albon corner, as it's now known, I think, and then heading towards Valtteri's lawnmower shop of turn 6, I think it's in the official counting. You really have another good run there where you can make an overtake happen if you get the better exit out of official turn 4. So you really have almost 4, maybe even 5 overtaking spots. If you think about turns 9 and 10 together as one overtaking opportunity, you can make something happen there as well. So it's a track with only 10 official corners, but 5 overtaking opportunities.
Yeah, definitely no shortage of opportunities to overtake if you do believe you are quicker than a driver in front. We've already got the first driver out there, Frenegamu, who is going to be the first one to do a lap time. And looking at it, you've got a couple of multiple race winners. Obviously, anyone that's won a race has already sealed their passage through. Do you expect there's going to be another? Do you think we could have another first-time race winner this evening?
It's hard to say. It's really, really hard to say because really, I think this track more than anyone, or more than any track, anyone can win. This is the one track, I think this and Britain Short were sort of the 2 tracks where you have a little bit of a wild card where you can have almost anyone win because, again, there's so few corners, so few possibilities to get something wrong. And so the tiniest of mistakes here will cost you in the qualifying, but in the race, the tiniest of mistakes will not cost you a thing because you're still going to be within DRS. You're going to lose half a tenth, maybe a tenth if you're messing up really badly. And so you're still going to be close and you're still going to be there. It's really all about overtaking, which is why I think we've seen in real F1 guys like Daniel Ricciardo and Alex Albon both doing so well here because they are the best overtakers. This is an overtaking track more than anyone, more than Monza, I would even say. And, you know, it's really not so much about outright pace and more so about your willingness to put your car in a place where you can get that position and move up the order.
Yeah, overtaking is going to be key here, and grid position here is probably not as important as it certainly was last week at Singapore, as Frenegamu's about to set the benchmark lap time for everybody to aim at. It's a 105.094, and I think it's worth to point out, as we've got Dark Shadow, who's the next one on a lap, I think it's worth pointing out that we've got 3 jokers here this evening, and 2 of them in Mike and Jack G have already qualified, but the one that's really the interesting one for me, because they're not inside the playoff spots just yet, is Dan's car. So this could be a massive opportunity for him to book his place with that Joker.
Yeah, I mean, if we look at the standings, we showed them earlier, there are 5 cars, 5 drivers in a span of 5 points. There's as Dark Shadow's off, spins there in the at the end of the second sector, at the beginning of the final sector there, and that's a completely ruined lap. It's not invalid, so he can still finish it, and he should, because if we've learned something from previous races, is that a couple people are always going to invalidate, and so if you just finish your lap and don't invalidate, you will at the very least, he actually aborts. That's surprising from Dark Shadow here, as we have to look next at Mackie as he comes across the line. Actually, we almost missed the whole lap there. 1 minute 6.0. Jacko will be next, and then it will be Jess. So Jacko once again in the marker car. I mean, he told me that's what it is, so that's what I'm gonna call it now. I'm not gonna take it down too much. I've made my point about the design of this car. I'm not gonna say anymore. But yeah, if we look at the standings, 5 drivers battling over the 3 remaining spots, really over 2 remaining spots. As for Mozza to not make it into the playoffs, a whole bunch of crazy things have to happen that I just don't see happening. And it would be very, very unlikely for him to not make the playoffs. So really, we have 5 drivers in Baza, Waze, Mr. John, Danskar, and Niels, who are still fighting as Jacko goes P1. Let me just quickly change the camera here, because now we're looking at Jess. Bill will be the next after. So Danskar having the Joker here is a massive opportunity. It's ridiculously important that he actually takes some advantage of that, because right now he's in 12th in the standings. He needs to get into the top 10, but he's only 2 points away from the top 10. He just needs to beat out Mr. John and Waze, and with the Joker in hand, the Joker being played right now, right here, this is the perfect opportunity for Danska. If he does not make it into the playoffs, he only has himself to blame.
Yeah, this is a really good track, I think, to have the Joker at. Although the only thing that may affect that is a safety car at the wrong time or something like that. But even so, this is a really big opportunity for Danskar, and he has to take it. Jess went into what is now 5th, because Bill has just gone up to 2nd, 3 tenths off Jacko. So currently Jacko on provisional pole, and I believe the next driver who will be on a lap will be Newgarden. Yep. Yeah, he's just started it. And
let's see.
Very tentative turn 1, I thought.
Yeah, I think he's trying to hold off a little bit to make sure that he doesn't invalidate. As I mentioned, we've seen in the Kia series time and time again, the drivers just invalidate their qualifying lap, and then they have to start from the very back. Newgarden, he knows what's at stake. Well, for him, not really much at stake here. He's 14th, and he's 14 points away, but he has a bit of an outsider's chance. If everyone in front messes up, or at least 3 drivers in front mess up, oh, sorry, 4 actually. If 4 drivers in front mess up, then he might have a shot of making it into the playoffs here. So if there is some kind of crazy things going on, he wants to be there to pick up the pieces, pick up the scraps, and make sure that he punches the ticket into the playoffs.
Yeah, he goes up to 4th. I've got to be honest, I kind of thought that's where he might go. He got a bit braver as the lap went on, but certainly the first sector was definitely a case of, I don't want to invalidate, I want to get this lap time in, and he definitely sacrificed some outright pace on that lap. So I think there's a lot more to come from him, but the important thing is he got the lap time in, and as a result he's gone ahead of Mackie, Jess, and also Dark Shadow, who didn't do a lap.
Yeah, I mean, well, we look at Niels here coming through the final 2 corners, and you saw how close he went there to the outside on corner entry for turn 9. He really tried to maximize the track limits, and that is one of the things that you really have to do here. But don't step over the track limits as well. It is a millimeter sport right here, and Niels goes P2, maximize the track limits there on corner entry turn 9, and it paid off. Next one is Danskar, one of the jokers, and probably the most important one that we have to look at, because if he gets a good result here, he punches the ticket to the playoffs without having won a race, without anything crazy. In fact, as of right now, Danskar has 0 playoff points, and he could still make the playoffs.
Yeah, this is probably the most crucial lap of this qualifying, I think, in general. So this is really important that he doesn't invalidate through his last couple of turns. Missed the apex a little bit, but gets it, carries the speed nicely. I think this is going to put him somewhere at the sharp end. Let's see. Across the line he goes, and it's good enough for P2 with 10th off Jacko, but second place, I think he'll be reasonably happy with that, and that gives him a good solid foundation going into the race. Mr. John should be next.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, Danskar's final sector looked quite tentative as well. He was very cautious there to make sure he doesn't invalidate, and yet it's still a P2, and it remains P2 even after Mr. John's lap. It goes into P5. So for Danskar, I mean, it couldn't really go much better. This is about the best you can hope for Waze now on a lap. He's in turn 3 now. Waze, another one of those drivers. He currently, as things stand, would be in the playoffs, but he does not have the Joker. The 3 Joker drivers, it was Danskar. Who were the other 2? Help me out quickly.
Mike and Jack G.
There we go. So those are the 3 drivers. Because someone was asking in the chat, Sully was asking in the chat. So MK Born, that's Mike. Jack G in 19th right now. And of course, Danskar, currently P2, and it's looking very good for him. Here comes Waze. Another one in the playoff battle. And Baza also. Baza has the biggest lead. He's on 49 points right now. And he is 1 point ahead of Waze, but Waze goes P1, provisional pole for Waze here in the black and green car. That is a strong lap, and that is a statement right there.
Yeah, and I think he'll be relieved if this race goes well, because I would have to say he's not mathematically secured his place yet. He needs a good result here this evening, and if I've got to be honest, I feel like a couple of winning opportunities for Waze have sort of gone begging in recent times, so he wasn't to make the playoffs, and Baza has invalidated his lap, so he will start, well, probably no better than last, really, unless Jack G or Yuri also invalidate.
Yeah, as we look at Vitinho now, he is definitely in the playoffs, already got 9 playoff points to his name, and has advanced, at the very least, based on his win. He actually has less points than Mozza, who isn't through yet. But because he won a race, well, 1 win and you're through. So Vitinho made it very clear that he was going to go into the playoffs very early on as well in the season, as he comes across the line. And this should be P1, I'm pretty sure, and it is a second faster than Waze. I mean, I was talking about how Waze's lap was a statement. Vitinho's lap, if Waze's lap is a statement, Vitinho's lap is an essay, I guess?
A dissertation.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you can't do it much better, can you? Like, this is 1 minute 3.2. You're beating everyone else who's done a lap by a second. This is outrageous. Mozza now. We did the calculations to see what would have to happen for Mozza to not make the playoffs, and it is quite crazy. It is quite crazy. If I can find it very quickly. I wrote it down somewhere in the group chat, so all the drivers know as well. Basically, if I remember correctly, there needs to be a 2nd place by Baza, a 3rd place by Waze, and a win by anyone who's not in the top 10 right now. So that would be Mr. John, Danskar, Niels, Newgarden, that would be Bill, That would be Jess. That would be Jacko, who is in P3, so that might actually work. Maki, Franagamu, you know, anyone, Dark Shadow, anyone who's not in the top 10 right now has to win a second place from Baza and a third place from Waze. And the second place from Baza looks very unlikely, I have to say, as Mozza goes P6. And of course, Mozza is not allowed to finish better than 16th.
Yeah, Connor also just popped it into second place, albeit still almost 9/10 adrift of Vitinho's lap. So no one able to get too close to that at the moment. Just looking at MK Vaughn's middle sector, he's around 3/10 off Vitinho at this stage of the lap. So as long as he gets a good final sector in here, I reckon he's going to slot right in that 9/10 gap I was just mentioning.
Yeah, maybe he can even challenge for the pole position there against Vitinho. No, he cannot, but a 1 minute 3.8, at least 6/10 of a second behind Vitinho. Definitely a lot less than a second away here. As Jack G, another driver on the Joker, but also a driver who has already qualified on points. He hasn't had a win yet this season, but he's been very consistent in his results. He's got a lot of points, 77 to his name already, and it can only be more. Let's see what this final sector looks like. He might actually get sort of into the top 3, top 2 as well. He might end up on the second row, or even the front row of the grid, depending on that final sector. 2 corners to go, 1 corner to go, on to the main straight, and it is... No, wow. Is he...
He's backed off. He backed off when he got to the straight. Lifted way out of throttle, so...
Yeah.
I wonder if it's because he's got the Joker. He wants to start on fresh tyres.
He wants to start probably on fresh tyres and on harder tyres as well, is what I'm thinking here. He does not want to qualify inside the top 10, and so he decided to take it a little bit more cautiously. 1 minute 6.0, and in fact 0.002 of a second faster than Maki. I mean, that's just pinpoint accuracy right there.
I mean, round sector 2, he was only a 10th off Vitinho, so
Yeah.
it just shows how much he backed off at the end of the lap. Yuri is on his lap now. I didn't actually get a glimpse of what his middle sector is, but he was very wide into the penultimate turn, turn 9, and through turn 10, here he goes. I don't think he's going to challenge Vitinho, but it's good enough for 5th, just behind Waze.
Yeah, good lap, nothing crazy, but certainly a decent lap there from Yuri as we now look at Splinter heading down the back straight here, downwards onto turn 4. I will always call this the Hamilton Albon corner. Nothing can stop me. And then, again, Valtteri's lawnmower shop right here in between turns 6 and 7, that is. So now through turn 8. And 2 more to go. Splinter, again, also advanced. In fact, Splinter and Estimats are the only 2 drivers still capable of winning the regular season championship. However, it might not be all too desirable of a prize, because in the JACKOCAR Cup Series, no regular season champion has ever won the title. So maybe they actually want to not win that championship as Splinter goes P2, and we're waiting only for Estimats to finish his lap here. Through the middle sector he comes. What does the time say? 44.2. How far away is that from Vitinho?
It's a 10th off, so he's right in the ballpark here. Depends how the final sector goes. We had a little bit of a wobble through turn 8, so I'm not too sure what this is going to do for him. Really, he probably should go P2, I reckon, though. But that wobble might have cost him a shot at P1 against Vitinho. Yeah. Yes, I think he's just slotted into second, a few attempts to drift.
Yeah,
and I have to say, you could tell Vitinho qualified for the playoffs, because on that lap, he just absolutely pushed it to the limit, and he's got the reward of pole.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't really care. For him, it was boom or bust. It was either P1 or P18, or P19 even. In this case, because Dark Shadow and Baza were the only 2 without a time. And so Dark Shadow going into the pit lane actually didn't matter. Whether he sets a lap time there or not, he still starts P19. So in hindsight, he did make the right decision, but I still kind of disagree, because now imagine if 5 drivers invalidate and they all start in front of Dark Shadow. probably not the best situation right there. So yeah, but either way, he starts P19. Vitinho on pole, Esteban second, and Splinter third. The two drivers in the hunt for the regular season championship, P2 and P3, starting alongside each other. I mean, this has the recipe. This is all the ingredients of a crazy, entertaining race.
Absolutely, and I have to say, one person who's qualifying really impressed me, though, I would actually argue it's been his best qualifying performance of the season, and that was Jacko up in 8.
Yeah, quite surprisingly, I have to say. I think this might be the first time Jacko has qualified inside the top 10, if I'm not mistaken right now. Maybe he did before and I just forgot, but I don't think he actually did.
I'm sure he'll let you know if he has.
Oh, he will. Oh, yeah, he will definitely let me know. In fact, there's Jacko in the chat saying Jacko's qualifying was awesome. Talking about it, it might not be Jacko because it's the JACKOCAR account, so it might be someone else behind it. But I'm pretty sure this is Jacko just patting himself on the back. Well done, Jacko. You've done well. But to be fair, honestly, I will pat him on the back as well. P8 is a fantastic result for him. It really is. We haven't seen him up there for all too much of the season. I mean, he's 17th in the standings, 22 points. You see it on screen. So, you know, not much has been happening there in terms of points. He's had a couple decent qualifyings, but nothing as good as P8. I don't... Not JACKOCAR account is me. Who is me? That's not helpful. I would assume it's Khalifa, who's the admin of the Kia series. There's someone spun in the background. What's happened there?
I'm trying to find out who that is. It's Bazza. Oh no, not and
no,
Dark Shadow.
It's Yuri is also way behind. I think was it Jacko? No. But Yuri is missing. Oh, it was Yuri then.
Yeah,
what is Yuri doing? What? It was Yuri, yeah. I saw some blue on the rear of the car, and I was like, what's going on? Yeah, it's Yuri. Why did he spin in turn 1 on the formation lap? He is allowed to go past the other cars. He doesn't do it, but he would be allowed to. But it might actually not be that dumb of a call. It's just, oh, well, looks like I spun. Oh, no. Actually, let me hold on. The viewers can't even see it. Apologies, I forgot. There we go. You couldn't even see it. So Yuri spun in turn 1. It never
happened.
it did happen. Yes. I mean, he's still at the back of the field right now. He will take P7 on the grid. He doesn't have to worry about that. But it might not be too bad ultimately because he gets the longest time now to warm up his tires. In fact, the spin may have warmed up his tires a little bit as well. And, you know, his tires won't cool down too much from when the AI takes over to place the car on the grid to the start happening. So he might actually have pretty warm and fresh and cozy tires come turn 1.
You know, you've said that. I reckon by when we come back in 2 weeks' time, everyone's just going to be spinning on that.
Everyone's just going to spin in turn 1. Yes. Look at this. Now the AI goes through all the other cars, takes the grid slot in P7. But while he does that, we are waiting here for him to do that. And now the lights should go on any moment now.
Yep. Just waiting for the lights to start illuminating to signal the start of round 8 of the JACKOCAR Kia Series. Vitinho and Easty-Mats on the front row, and they are underway. Looks like a very nice getaway from Vitinho, but actually Easty-Mats on the second phase of the start has gone up the inside and taken the lead as a car diving up the inside as MK Born. Oh, and there's a huge shunt, and Jacko, from hero to zero, he's going out the race, and Muzza too. That's the most dramatic start I've seen all season.
Safety car immediately, and rightfully so. Wow. A lot of drivers with damage. That might be a good thing, honestly, because damage means that they can now pit and it counts as a pit stop. So Newgarden is going to come in. Connor, does that constitute enough damage to pit? His left side end plate is missing, so he has some damage. The question is whether that's enough to say that he's allowed to pit and get a new front wing. We also have a Dark Shadow, no damage there from what I can tell. Nope, end plates are still on. Indecisive Maki, end plate still on. Who else do we have? Jess, end plate still on. Franagamu, end plate, left end plate on, right end plate. I wonder, that one's looks almost gone. Oh yeah, massive damage for Franagamu there. Baza, left side end plate, good. Right side end plate, oh, not so much. Yeah, there's a bunch of cars coming in. Bill is coming in, and all the aforementioned Baza, Franagamu, Connor, and Nugon. So 5 drivers already pitting. Let's look at the tires while we're here. Everyone on softs except Dark Shadow started on mediums, stays out on mediums.
Yeah, I'd say one driver that I'm a little bit surprised by starting on softs, and that's Jack G, because we saw him lift off in qualifying, and you sort of hinted that that would probably mean he'd go for a bit of a harder tyre at the start of the race on his Joker. But
yeah,
no.
Bit surprising, but at the same time, it needs to be said, just to quickly talk about the tires a little bit more in detail. The soft, mediums, and hards, oops, here's the leader. Softs, mediums, and hards, difference between the tires. Softs and mediums, 0.8 of a second. Softs and hards, 1.2 of a second. So between mediums and hards, as such, then 0.4 of a second. So the softs significantly quicker than mediums and hards. Lifespan-wise, 16 laps on the softs, 21 on the mediums, 26 on the hards. So everyone on a 2-stop, everyone without the Joker, we should see on 2 stints of the softs, 1 stint on the mediums. Those that do the 1-stop, Jack G in particular, I think that's why he started out, that's why he wanted to start outside the top 10. Soft to medium is possible, but only by 1 lap. And if you qualify, those tires have a lap in them, which means it's almost impossible. And so he wanted to make sure that he can do the soft to medium strategy and doesn't have to reserve, or it doesn't have to resort to the hard tires, doesn't have to take those, because as we mentioned, 0.4 of a second quicker. And yeah, sure, they last longer, but they also keep that 0.4 of a second gap basically throughout their whole stint. Like, it doesn't go down much.
No, I think, and well, just having a quick look at it as well, the big winners and losers off the start, obviously quite a dramatic opening to this race. You've got Jack and Jess, who have gained 6 and 7 positions respectively. I think a lot of that down to the carnage that ensued behind them. But the big loser for me was Vitinho in the end, because he's actually ended up starting on pole. He's down to 8th.
I mean, I have a different idea as who the biggest loser of the start was.
Jacko?
And yeah, probably not through any fault of his own, but Jacko. I mean, he started P8. It looked so promising, and after 1 corner, his race was over. I mean, it's just devastating.
Unless he'd gone off his own accord, which I highly doubt, because I mean, if he had done that, I would have likened him to Nikita Mazepin. But
oh no, Jacko's actually look for all the. Oh wow, we have cars coming into the pit lane, lap 3 here with the safety car, and MK Born leads the way now. What is going on here? We've seen it time and time again, and we see it here too. So, bunch of cars in the pit lane. Estimats, Splinter, Danskar on his only pit stop. And Jess, why is Danskar pitting so early? That makes no sense.
I was going to say, those hard tyres will not get to the end.
No.
Really not.
They won't.
So...
What is he doing? He's going on to hards. Does he know something we don't?
Or does he not know something we do?
Oh, yeah, I mean, those are the only 2 options, aren't they?
Because
My goodness.
The tie data suggests he will not get to the end. We got a great battle here. Yuri and Wace going for it, and Wace up the inside into turn 6. That's a nice move indeed. And Wace up into 2nd place. MK Born now leading the way. He talked about it potentially being a big fight between Estimats and Splinter. It was weird, but both of those 2 were the first ones to make that call when the safety car came in.
Yeah, I think for those that are on the 2-stop that have not pulled their Joker here, it makes sense to get the first pit stop out of the way as early as possible. So you're basically at a one stop from that point onwards, because you want to pit before there is potentially another safety car. And I mean, we've seen time and time again with these cars, with these drivers, that safety cars are the norm, not the exception. So, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if we see one or two more here. So you want to be prepared for that sort of situation and pit right before a safety car comes out. And if it's a couple laps before, fair enough, you'll take that too, because you get the undercut. And since no one is allowed to pit under safety car unless they have damage, you know, it gives you a little bit of a helping hand. And in this case, they decided to go very early, but it seems like Splinter has also been held up there, because the gap between AC Mats and Splinter was certainly not 9 seconds.
No, definitely not. Something's happened there. Yeah, because I'm pretty sure as well he was closer when he came out of the pit. So I'm just going to go and quickly look at him. And yeah, does not there's any damage from what I can see on Splinter's car. So maybe gone off or had a spin somewhere. Something's definitely happened there, because I'm pretty sure when he came out of the pits they weren't that far apart either. So
yeah, meanwhile, oh, we have a yellow flag in sector 1. That is
Mackey's in the wall.
Yeah.
Yep. And
oh yeah.
His car's not destroyed, well, fully, but it'll definitely have a front wing change.
He's trying to rejoin, he can't.
Yeah, that's such a difficult situation to try and get back on the circuit from in a safe way.
Oh! Thankfully, Splinter saw him there, because that was close. But he's back on track now, and we can focus again on the battle at hand here at the front, because Yuri is losing quite a few seconds here to Waze, and Waze is hunting down MK Born for the lead. Gap was around 1 second, still at around 1 second, and it keeps staying where it is at. One thing I wanted to mention, which I think is quite important, if we look right now, the prophecy, as I'm going to call it now, is half fulfilled at this point. Mozza outside the top 15, or outside the top 15, which means Mozza only gets 1 point. And Waze is in second where he needs to be for Mozza to not make it. However, Yuri is in third where Baza needs to be. Baza is 6 places away from that. And MK Born is leading when MK Born is already qualified for the playoffs. So as of right now, that needs to change. Basically, Niels would have to gain 2 places to get past Waze and MK Born, as he is already past Yuri now. And then Baza needs to gain 6 places to get basically past Bill, Mr. John, Jack G, Vitinho, Yuri, and MK Born then, and into P3. And then the prophecy would be fulfilled, and Mozza somehow, against all the odds, would not make the playoffs. But right now, it looks good for Connor. Not Connor. It looks good for Mozza. Apologies, Connor, Mozza, same thing. No, because it's because Jacko said turn 1 was Connor's fault, could never be me in the chat. Because people were asking whose fault was it turn 1. We did not get a good enough look. Unfortunately, the camera really not helping us there.
Bit of contact between Yuri and Vitinho on the exit of turn 3, and yeah, Yuri had to Vitinho had to go for roadbed and end up losing a position to Jack G. It just looks like at this phase of the race, for whatever reason, Yuri just hasn't got a great deal of pace.
Yeah, he's falling down more and more. Does he have damage maybe? Let's see. No, right side looks good, left side looks good. No, it's not damage, it's just a lack of pace really. As Vitinho must have made a mistake and lost himself a second there. Oh no, he's just lagging, okay. Oh, and as I say that, oh, I'm sorry Vitinho, I want to apologize for this commentator's curse. It was not my intention. Yuri's in the pits. Yuri's in the pits. I think a good choice there, because he's just been falling back more and more, and they're not changing the front wing, so that confirms it. No front wing issue there for Yuri, but he's now on the medium tires, as are most drivers, just to get them out of the way, really, it seems. and to have a
it's
free
wise
choice
thing.
later on.
It's definitely a wise thing to do for Yuri, because I know sometimes it's a strange one, but you can just get a completely different feel from a new set of tyres. So he's probably just hoping that those mediums will give him a much better feel than what he had in the softs, because he was going nowhere with the softs, and obviously while Vitinho's out the session, he's losing positions, which is not ideal, and yeah, that's completely your fault.
Yeah, I feel bad about it. I really do. But speaking of the prophecy once again, we have Baza now up to P6 after all that. So Vitinho losing positions. I think Baza gained one. Jack G and Niels are not battling. Niels is actually in the pit lane now. So that is going to be a pit stop for him. And the highest driver that hasn't qualified yet, or that isn't in the top 10 right now, is Bill in P4. So Bill would have to win now. Does Bill already has a stop, so Bill is the net leader of this race.
Yep. And he's on mediums as well compared to some of the
Oh my goodness.
So
Okay, look, I'm gonna have to like, if it does actually happen, I'm gonna have to soften the blow for Mozza. It might actually happen that Mozza gets eliminated here. This is crazy. I thought, when I went through the calculation, I went through the math, I thought, there is no way this would ever happen. That it could ever happen that someone outside the top 10 wins, Waze gets second, Baza gets third. Well, would you look at that? It might just happen. By the way, MK Born gets the stage point for stage 1, end of lap 9, and he was leading. Waze in the pit lane, he is now on mediums, so he will drop down the order a little bit. That should make Mozza breathe a little bit more, because Waze is now down to 10th, but he's also done a pit stop, and he can now work his way back up the field against the likes of Connor, Estimat, Vitinho, Frenagamu, etc. Vitinho actually losing a lot of time here. Was there something going on with Vitinho where he lost a bunch of time? In fact, Vitinho... Oh no, he's still disconnected, that's why.
Yeah, so that really cost him. And another thing, I think you've done another commentary curse, because you were just bigging up Bill's chances, and literally as you were saying it, I just came up on the screen that Bill had a penalty.
And 8 seconds as well. He's on 8 seconds penalties.
I was just wondering,
right now.
Connor has an issue. He's got damage on his front wing.
Let's see. I can't see it from here. That camera angle is very helpful. He's slowing down here on pit entry. Lets those two through, and he's gonna pit, I think. Yeah, he is. So that seems to be... Oh yeah, that's massive damage. We just saw a glimpse there, split second, but that is definitely some damage for Connor, and he will pit, and that would be his second pit stop, won't it? Yeah, it is. So he's serving a 5-second penalty here as well. Front wing change, so that costs him, that pit stop will cost him an extra 11 seconds, basically. 5 seconds for the penalty, 5 seconds for the front wing, and then 1 second sort of in between as buffer because it's not perfectly accurate. So he will lose around 29 seconds from this pit stop.
I'm thinking in regards to Dan's car that one or two things has happened. Either he's got damage and had to pit again because that hard tyre attempt didn't last long, or he's heard us on the stream and realised he's not going to work. So either that, he's in again, he's made 2 stops, and that Joker was kind of a waste of time, really.
Yeah, but I don't think he heard us. I think, because if he heard us, then he still made a horrible choice again. I think he had damage, and that's why he had to go on to mediums. Because even if you go on to hards, once you made that choice, you stay on the hards for as long as you can, and then you go on to softs again. Or maybe not for as long as you can, but until lap 20, and then you go on to softs again. He didn't. He went on to mediums lap 7 or lap 8, which tells me the mediums won't make it to the end either, so he has to pit again.
Just whatever pain he can have in this race, he just seems to be having. And
yeah,
we talked about the Joker and what that could do for him in his battle to get into playoff positions. Yeah, I think his race is... he's going to need a safety car now to bring him back into contention, I feel.
Yeah, not just that, he needs a safety car, and then so he needs basically divine intervention. There's no other way for him to make it into the playoffs, I think. Looking at who is still there with Baza in P4 right now, and in fact in a net P2, as he has already pitted. With, who else do we have? Waze in P7 right now, who is, well, then in a net P5. And, of course, Mozza, well, he only gets 1 point, but considering that Danska is 16 points, oh, sorry, not 16, 14 points behind Mozza, yeah, it doesn't look too good. AC Mats and Waze are now battling. What is Waze on right now? I mean, he's flying right now. He goes past the championship leader.
Well, he's just loving life so far this race, and he's just absolutely flying. Obviously, he's got newer mediums on, but nevertheless, that's really impressive from him, and he's in a strong position right now. I mean, you were saying Danskar needs divine intervention. I mean, you sort of decreasing his chances out loud could be just the divine intervention he needs. Based on what's happened so far.
You think I'm positively going to commentator's curse him that he actually gets divine intervention?
Yeah, I mean, I've tried to do that before. It's like to make up for negative commentator.
In my experience, it generally doesn't work.
I have to try. We've got Baza on the back of Bill, and I get the feeling that, well, it's weird actually in a way, because Bill about 5-10 laps ago was comfortably ahead of these guys, and weirdly, the more warn that Baza and Newgarden's softs seem to have got, the more they've caught up to him.
Yeah, meanwhile, someone in the chat is asking what the fastest lap is. I just showed it very briefly at 1 minute 6.8 by Waze, who definitely is the fastest man on track right now, so another piece of evidence that he is absolutely flying right now, trying to close in on Newgarden, Baza, and Bill in front, and Waze, very uncharacteristically, as MK Bourne's now in the pit lane. What I was trying to say here, Waze, I actually commentators cursed him again before saying it. Are you kidding me?
Oh, no.
I was about to say, very uncharacteristically for him, he's without penalty. In the middle of the sentence, Waze heard me, picks up a penalty. Are you kidding me? Look, if you want anything in life to happen, just tell me to say it won't happen. It will happen immediately. Like that. I just have a superpower or something.
Just set up a GoFundMe and get drivers to pay to not curse them.
Ooh,
Simple solution.
See, that's one way to make money as a commentator, isn't it? Pay me to shut up.
I've got to say though, MK Bourne, you were talking about quick races with his fastest lap, but to say that he's only just made his first pit stop, I mean, MK Bourne's fastest lap of a 6.9 is very impressive as well.
Yeah, on those old softs, it certainly is a very good lap. They're faster than AC Mats, and that means something for sure. So very, very strong showing there from MK Bourne. In fact, he might get the fastest lap at some point once he's driven in these tires. As Vitinho finally, after what felt like ages, has rejoined. In fact, his car made a pit stop already. Is on softs again. We have a yellow flag in sector 2 and 3. That is Dark Shadow, I think.
Yeah.
Indeed, it is Dark Shadow. There's a reason Dark Shadow chose car colors that are kind of resembling the Mercedes. He has reenacted Valtteri's lawnmower service.
I could see where that was going. Mid-sentence.
Yeah, that was very obvious, I think. But he's back on track now, and about to not enter the pit lane. I thought maybe with the dirty tires, and with 15, now 16 lap old mediums, you know, I might be thinking about a potential pit stop, as there goes Dan's car, at least gaining something back here. Up to P15 he goes. But let's quickly go back up the order. Thanks, Vitinho, that was helpful. Vitinho's back in the car, by the way, if you didn't know, but Newgarden is now in the pits for, I think, the second pit stop. Yeah, and that's the last one for Newgarden. As MK Bone picks up 3 seconds. Who has the fastest lap by now? Let's see. It still weighs.
Yeah, it still weighs, although I believe MK Bone could be about to beat out this lap. And one thing that's worth pointing out here is I genuinely believe MK Bourne's in a super position to win this race. I know he has 3 seconds worth of penalties, but I mean most people do at this point. But of course, MK Bourne has got the Joker this evening, and he was already leading anyway. So he can go to the end now on those medium tyres, and we've seen he's got the pace. So I think he's looking in a good spot right now, and Jack G as well with the Joker. He surely is going to be coming in soon because he's done 17 laps on those softs. I think he can afford to pit now. I don't know why he's still out there.
Maybe because of the... No, actually, it makes sense. Because of the safety car, he can go a bit longer. He wanted the stage point as well, which he just got. And I think he will pit at the end of this lap. So stage point in for Jack G in the bank. That is his 7th. MK Bourne got the first one. So he's on 9. Who got pole position again? That was Vitinho.
Vitinho, yeah.
So Vitinho got one more from that. So he's on 10 now. We'll try and keep you updated with the playoff points, but certainly you will see the standings on the JACKOCAR Twitter within a week or two. Because obviously in 2 weeks will be the next race. We will have a 1-week break between the end of the regular season here tonight and the start of the playoffs in mid-April. Hold on, if I remember correctly, yes, on my mother's birthday. She's turning 55 and I will be yelling. Jack G now in the pit lane as expected. He wanted that stage point and he got it. Now on to mediums he will go. Oh, 5-second penalty to serve. Yellow flag in sector 3. That is, I think, Dark Shadow just letting people by. And there goes Jack G. Back out on track. Falling down.
MK Bourne already right up behind Waste for P2. Another yellow flag in sector 2. Is that just... I think someone
that's Mackie.
Mackie, yeah. So problems there for Mackie. Not the first time, unfortunately, that we've seen him go around. Hopefully he can try and salvage something from this race. And just thinking as well, I think based on what the fastest lap now is, I think it's a safe assumption to say Vitinho's back in control of his car.
Yes, definitely. Yuri and Niels, I mean, we're battling here over P4 right now. And Yuri went a little bit deep into turn 4. And Niels got the cutback on him and took the position right back. But these two are battling very, very heavily here. As, oh, this might be Niels in the pit lane. It is Niels in the pit lane. He's had enough. And MK Bourne gets the position off of Bill, who also pits. This is the time where you can go for softs now. It's late enough in the race. Lap 20, lap 21. Surprising to see mediums being put on for Bill here. I would have expected the softs, but the same is true for Niels. He goes on to mediums. And Splinter as well. Why are they going all to mediums? Why are they not using the softs?
I think your talents as a race engineer are just not being taken advantage of here.
yeah, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but surely the softs are the better choice here. You have 16 laps left. The softs last. Well, guess what? 16 laps. If that's not a match made in heaven, I don't know what is.
Got Bill and Jack G fighting away. I think Bill just come out the pits in front of Jack. And, yeah, crucially for Bill, he got out just in front of him. Of course, Jack on the Joker, so he doesn't need to stop again. Oh, that was a brave attempt into turn 6. I sort of winced there in part slightly, because I thought, well, if he really does go for this, there's no way this will end well.
Yeah, I mean, that was something for sure. Going for an overtake there is possible, but it's... I mean, you're playing with fire at that point. Yellow flag, that's Dark Shadow again. Mowing some more lawn. I mean, I'll tell you what. the hills of Austria are going to be incredibly clean and tidy after this race.
Yeah, fair play to these guys. They're doing their bit to clean up after,
Yes.
which is you know, it's what it's all about.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Esteban's and Baza here battling over P4, and by the way, Waze is leading the race.
Yeah, and he's got one more stop to make, but he
Yeah.
cannot. Well, I mean, if he doesn't go into softs, I feel like you'll be yelling down the microphone at him.
At that point, I will show up at Waze's door. I tell you that much. If at this point people who pit do not go for the soft but go for mediums instead, yes, I will find you, and I will yell at you.
Oh, he might have some defending to do shortly, because I think MK Bourne's about to make a move for the race lead. And yeah, MK Bourne just looking so good at the moment. What Waze might hope for is when he does pit for the softs, is to get a safety car then to bunch the field up. If he can bunch the field up, he'll be in a superb position. Waze, we already know he's super quick here this evening, and with a new set of soft tyres, he should absolutely fly. So
Yeah,
if
but
he can somehow find a way to reduce the margins with a safety car, that might help.
Yeah, but he has to hope that the safety car comes out after his second pit stop. If it does before, he's gained absolutely nothing. He needs to pit as soon as... In fact, here's the thing. I honestly, my strategy, because of the rules of JACKOCAR, where you can't pit under safety car unless you have damage, I'd pit right now. And Waze doesn't.
Yeah, you just knew that was going to happen when you said it.
Yeah, again. But I would have pitted. Here's what I would have done. I would have pitted about lap 1, probably, onto mediums, and then lap 20 or 21 to go onto softs, and that would have been it. Because then I have the earliest possible pit stops both times. I have clean air to drive in.
Oh, don't tell me there'll be a safety car now. Dark Shadows crashed out.
Oh,
this could be
Waze and MK want to get into
saying.
that spot. It is only a local yellow. It's a virtual safety car. The drivers are allowed to pit on a virtual safety car.
Yeah, that I tell you what, if that had been a full safety car, it's foreshadowing from you there would have been exceptional.
Yeah. Like, this should be the warning for Waze. Look, next time it's going to be a safety car. You're not going to get away that easily. Go into the pits. Even if the virtual safety car ends right now, go pit now. Does Waze do it? I think he might. He does. He learns. He understands the sign.
And he might even gain a little bit of time out of it now as well.
Yeah, a little bit.
Not ended, so they're not too bad at all for Waze here. A lot worse off for Frenagamu because he's just got a drive-through penalty for speeding under the VSC, which is not ideal, especially as I would argue Frenagamu was having one of his better races at the moment.
Yeah, certainly looks like it, but I mean, this is how you could ruin it very easily and very quickly. Dark Shadows left the session, and look at where Waze comes out, right with Baza and Nugan battling over P4 here. He needs to stay ahead of Baza here, though. That's important, and he's not. But he might get it back. Oh, a little bit of moving under braking there. Certainly not the gentleman's way, but Waze behind Baza now.
Yeah, Waze really could have done with being ahead of the pair of them, not right in the middle, but he's going to need to get a move on a bit quickly. Well, Baz has clearly made his intentions clear. He's not going to make it easy for him.
Yeah, and we're going to see here from the back of Baz's car. He runs a little bit wide. That opens the door for Waze. He thinks about it and then thinks better of it. And once again, the door's open and there goes Waze. Pushes his way through it. Honestly, Waze gets the 3-second time penalty, but I'm going to say for JACKOCAR standards, that was okay. There's not going to be any... I mean, there might be a steward's inquiry, but I don't see Waze getting a penalty for that. That is hard, but tough racing.
Just trying to see has Bazza collected a bit of damage? Doesn't look like it.
I mean, I can't see it. The camera is stuck sort of on his car. No, it doesn't look like it. Both end plates still there. If there is damage, it's very minor.
I saw him run wide a few corners later. I was thinking, does he have damage now? But it's like he's got away with it. He might come under threat from Bill there, who took a late dive, and there was nearly more contact there. Bazza threatening to be in the wars on that one. But yeah, like you said, he sort of left that door open and, you know, Waste on fresh soft tyres. He knows he needs to get on with it. So you leave the door open, you know, most drivers in that situation are going to take a look up the inside. So Bazza left himself vulnerable there.
Yeah, certainly. You gotta be prepared for an overtake attempt at any moment here in JACKOCAR, especially as we do encourage a little bit of more tough racing and not the you know, you get a penalty for just overtaking slightly off track. You know, that we saw at the Bahrain Grand Prix. A little bit of tougher racing, a little bit of contact is certainly tolerated, as that is Bazza. No, who was that? Who was that? Someone, Jack G. Jack G went into the back of, I think it was Bazza, and got a massive front wing damage now. But he has one more pit stop to make. A safety car right now would bail him out massively.
Well, I mean, you say he's got one more stop to make, but Jack G's running a Joker. So
yes, I forgot.
That's so really done him a lot of damage. That's not done him any good at all. As Bill makes the move on Bazza, it looks like. No, Bazza fights back through turns 4 and 5. And I was about to say, does Bill have damage? But it doesn't look like him. I think he may have. No, but yeah, Bazza fights back on that one. Bazza's definitely had an eventful couple of laps, and while that was happening, it's worth noting Yuri made his second stop and has gone for an aggressive stint at the end on soft, so expect to see him having a late charge. He's got plenty of drivers just in front of him to have a go at.
Yeah, meanwhile, here's Jack into the pit lane and trying to get that front wing fixed. There he goes. That is so painful for Jack G here. Losing, and gets a has to serve a 5-second penalty here as well. So doubly unfortunate for him. 5-second penalty, front wing, and of course new tires on. That's not the biggest issue there, but the front wing certainly is. And yeah, ultimately he's back out on in P14. He's got to hunt after the fastest lap and all, but yeah, it might actually help him get another playoff point, actually. If he gets the fastest lap here, that would help him ultimately, because he's already through on points, so what does it matter?
Just having a look at Wace, who's closing the gap to Easty Max for second. And it's such a shame that Vitinho had that disconnection earlier, because he's just done a fastest lap of the race on mediums. So, impressive stuff.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, that's something you don't see very often when you have soft runners, and fast soft runners there, like Waze, Yuri, Jack G now on softs, Mr. John's quite quick, so very remarkable feat there from Vitinho on the mediums there. 1 minute 5.4 as he goes past Connor.
Oh, and there's contact between him and Connor's been sent round. Had to do a full 360, and it was Franagamu who nearly went into the back of him as he recovered. That would have been a nasty shunt if there's some evasive action there from Franagamu.
Strong reactions from Franagamu. This corner turn 1, just to quickly explain, I mean, we can show it next lap, we can show it as soon as, actually, we can show it as soon as, who is that? Ah, there, Esteban. That corner is blind, you see this? At this point is when Franagamu saw the car. He had to take immediate evasive action. Thankfully did, otherwise, as you mentioned, this would have been a nasty shunt.
Yuri starting his charge through the medium tire runners. He just made his way past Niels. Next up for him will be Splinter. And it's hard to believe, as Bazza and Newgarden, I believe, are having a battle further up the field for 4th and 5th. And it looks like Newgarden might just have made the move on what I was about to say was the classic Renault-looking car of Bazza. Bazza fighting back, though. He's definitely got his elbows out in this race, no doubt about it. He outbreaks himself a little bit. They're going to continue going side by side through turn 5. And it looks, if anything, like Bill may take advantage of this and try and go around down the inside of Newgarden, but Newgarden then gets the undercut with turn 6 and off the road. Goes Bill into the gravel, manages to avoid the spin, but has to slot back in behind. So for all that, Bazza takes 4th, and Bill had a look at getting past Newgarden, but couldn't make it stay.
Yes, certainly a strong battle there. And ultimately, Bazza up to P4. And once again, they are actually getting really close to kicking Mozza, who has retired turn 1, lap 1, out of the playoffs. But they're not capable of it just yet. As we see here, Waze is now up in P2, but he has penalties, and Bazza's up in P4. And MK Born is leading, and that is the thing that is going to save Mozza here. MK Born leading is the savior here, because the only way that Mozza can get eliminated is if a driver wins that is currently outside the top 10 in the standings, and MK Born is not. In fact, he has won a race before, so a second race would not make much of a difference for him. But it would save Mozza, so I'm telling you right now, I think Mozza's watching right now. He's cheering on MK Born. He's probably his biggest fan right now.
This battle for 4th is something else, and you now got Bill and Bazza going side by side for turn 9, and there's more damage there as they come into contact. Not a place you'd recommend going side by side, and that's contact and damage on, I want to say, Bill's car, yeah.
Left side end plate.
It helps Yuri out though, gets him past those 2 medium time runners very easily, but you can see there's quite a group of cars here forming behind.
There goes Yuri.
Yeah, Yuri on the outside of Bazza. We know Bazza's been getting his elbows out so far, but on the soft tyres, ooh, Brook a little bit too late there. Did Yuri try to get the better traction out the corner? They'll continue to fight side by side. They've both got the DRS, so no advantage there. They're still going to be side by side up to turn 4. Bazza tries to fend him off, but on those better tyres, Yuri just has too much grip. And even with his staunch defending, eventually Bazza has to give up that place.
Yeah, and fair play to Bazza, though. He did drive better through that corner than Lewis Hamilton did. I gotta give him that much. He did not spin Yuri around. He did not make contact with Yuri through that turn 4. So, fair play to Bazza there. Better than a 7-time world champion.
And so we don't get too off topic, I'm going to refrain from debating that one with you. So
yes.
we've got Wace still just in front of Easty Mats. I think Wace is going to run out of time to catch MK Born, especially with the added penalty. So yeah, MK Born here is going to be Cloud Mozza's saving grace. And I have to say, fair play to MK Born. He's really pulling off this Joker expertly today.
Yeah, he certainly is. We have a yellow flag. That is Splinter.
Oh, Splinter recovering after a problem at turn 2.
Yeah, Splinter was part of the battle with Bill and Niels there over P7. In fact, it looks like Niels is going around the outside of Bill, who still has damage. Does he have more damage now?
I don't think he's got a wing anymore, yeah. Definitely got some more damage there.
Yeah, he's off into the gravel. Oh, recover, recover, recover. There's a car on the track. Now recover. There's another car coming. Oh. And Bill, really? Okay.
He was going about 20 miles an hour. How is that a penalty? Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he gained an advantage going through the gravel. It's not.
No, he definitely did. Look, these are without wings. These are rally cars, and as such, he definitely gained an advantage through the gravel. So yeah, totally makes sense. My goodness, yeah, Bill pits now. No front wing on the car, so he has to really. And Eastymat's now putting Waze under pressure. Bill retires to the pit lane. He's had enough, and I don't blame him. I mean, you get a 3-second penalty for already being off the track. It's like you're already on the ground and you're still being kicked.
Yeah. Yeah, you've had the you thought you've gone through a punishment, and then you get that too. And I've got to be honest, for Bill, that's probably ended his hopes of being in the top 10.
Yeah, meanwhile, we have 2 more laps to go. MK Born on his way to a second victory, tying Yuri and Eastymats on wins, but also looking at the regular season championship right now, Eastymats would crown himself the winner as he goes past Waze here to make it even more clear. Goes up into second place. That was a clean and easy move right there. Seems like Waze's softs have seen their best days.
it doesn't have too much bearing on the playoff situation, but MK Bond's got to be careful here. If he picks up another penalty, Easty Mats could steal this victory from him.
Yeah, certainly possible. And then Easty Mats would be on 3 wins, would get an extra 5 playoff points. It does have quite a bearing. You got to remember, win is 5 playoff points. So instead of MK Born jumping up to 13, or actually 14, because he also got the stage point for stage 1, it would be Easty Mats jumping up to 27, which is an unheard of lead. I mean, second place is Splinter with 14.
Yeah, absolutely. That's absolutely crucial. Then, if Easty Mats can do, oh no! But literally, it's my turn to curse. Because Easty Mats now has a penalty. We are both on fire today.
Jake, when the master becomes the student, when the student becomes the master becomes the student. I want to learn from you. Teach me.
I have a skill that no one can quite replicate. There's a reason I don't put predictions for any league I commentate on my Twitter.
Meanwhile, we have a battle over 4th here with Newgard, Yuri, and Baza. Baza trying around the outside of turn 3. They're not successful right now. We see the penalty situation on the final lap here for all the drivers. It won't change much, but it will change a little bit. Even if Baza gets the overtake here on Yuri, which it seems like he won't, he wouldn't even get the position out of it. He will actually lose one to Splinter, but MK Born comes across the line to make it his 2nd victory, and Easty Mats comes across the line not only to make sure that Mozza officially is in the playoffs, but also to win the regular season championship and get himself another 15 playoff points.
I don't want to claim anything for sure, but surely, unless my maths is hideously wrong, that 3rd place to Waze will put him into the top 10.
Yes. He's already been in the top 10 before, and so he hasn't been beaten by Mr. John, Danska, or Niels. And as such, Waze also qualified for the top 10. That means only 1 spot left, and Baza has not been beaten by Mr. John, Danska, or Niels. And so Baza also makes it through. Nothing has changed except that Waze is now no longer 10th, but he actually jumps up to 9th. In fact, he might be tied with Mozza for 8th. We're gonna have to see that because oh, that's gonna be interesting. That's gonna be interesting. But here is MK Born's 2nd victory for him, and he's now gonna be 3rd in the standings, and as such, he got himself another 3 playoff points just from finishing 3rd in the championship. Splinter, actually, we have to see where Yuri finished. It might not be 3rd for MK Born. Let me do the math quickly. So, Easty Mats regular season champion. Splinter 2nd. That much is clear. Now, Yuri, Jack G is out of contention here. Yuri finished 6th. Oh my goodness. That's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 points. Oh my goodness. MK Born is 3rd by 1 point.
Ooh.
By 1 point. It's 91 to 90. If Yuri gets 1 penalty less, no, actually, he would need 2 penalties less. Apologies. If Yuri gets 2 penalties less, he gets 3 playoff points. 2 penalties away from an additional 3 playoff points. That is just heartbreaking.
I tell you what, I'm really glad you didn't say 1 penalty less, because I'm pretty sure Yuri got a penalty on the last corner of the last lap.
Oh my goodness. Imagine. Imagine. But yeah, no, it was 2 penalties ultimately, because if he had gotten 1 penalty less, they would have been tied. But, actually, if they had been tied, they both won 2 races. It would have gone to countback, and I have no idea how that would have ended. So that would have...
Maybe that penalty did cost Yuri.
Maybe it did, yeah. Holy smokes. I don't know, actually. I ultimately don't know. But, yeah, here's the calendar. just so you guys are aware of the next stream here. However, we obviously have the Cup Series still waiting for you. They're already in the playoffs. They have already started their playoffs, and they're going to continue with the second race in the playoffs around Brazil in just 2 days. And then it's going to be a week break for both series, for both the Cup Series and here, the Kia Series. So we're going to take a week break then. But yeah, the standings, as mentioned, AC Mats, the regular season champion. Splinter, regular season second. MK Born, regular season third. So they get 15, 7, and 3 playoff points, respectively. Other than that, we have Yuri qualified for the playoffs. Vitinho qualified for the playoffs. Jack G qualified for the playoffs. Connor qualified for the playoffs. Mozza, it was close, but he made it. Waze with a decisive performance right there. And Buzzer just about scraped by. Lucky he was not overtaken by Niels there. Will have ultimately a gap of, I think, 6 points that saved him over Niels, who unfortunately is P11, and as such, Niels, Mr. John, Danskar, New Garden, Bill, Jess, Jacko, Maki, Franagamu, and Dark Shadow are now in the chase. One of those 10 drivers that I just mentioned will still be able to make it to the championship finale in Bahrain, May 11th. That is that, and then the playoffs, the top 10 I just mentioned. I think the way it's going to work, I would like to get some confirmation there, because the rules have been written for the Cup Series only, but I think what we're going to do is, after 2 races of the playoffs, 3 drivers get eliminated. After another 2 races, another 3 drivers get eliminated. So we're down to 4, plus the winner of the chase, 5 drivers, the championship 5, heading to Bahrain. That is going to be the format, and I can't wait. Canada awaits us in 2 months to kick off the playoffs. I'm incredibly excited for that. I hope you guys are as well. And with that, thank you very much for watching, everyone. And until Canada in 2 weeks' time, goodbye.